I was cutting into my chicken when my sister Courtney casually announced she had taken out a $100,000 loan using my identity. She laughed, her eyes gleaming with that familiar cruelty. Mom joined in, saying I could barely afford rent and definitely couldn't hire a lawyer. Dad nodded, like I was the punchline to some family joke. Courtney called me a failure. Under the table, I pulled out my phone and texted my team at the Federal Banking Investigation Unit 3 words: "Initiate fraud investigation." I looked up and smiled. The dining room felt smaller suddenly, the walls closing in as I processed what Courtney had just admitted. But I kept my face neutral, took a sip of water, and leaned back in my chair. "So tell me more about this loan," I said, keeping my voice light and curious. "Which bank did you use?" Courtney's smile widened. She thought I was just gathering information for some hopeless attempt to fix this mess. "First National. Approved in 3 days. Can you believe how easy it was?" "When did you take it out?" "Last month, 28th. She twirled her fork, so pleased with herself. "Bought myself a gorgeous Lexus. Silver leather interior. You should see it." My mother reached over and patted Courtney's hand. "You deserve nice things, sweetheart. You work so hard." I swallowed the bitterness rising in my throat. "What else did you use the money for?" "Gave $40,000 to Drake for his business venture. He's starting this amazing investment company." Courtney's eyes went dreamy when she mentioned her boyfriend's name. "We're going to be rich, Ari. Really rich." "That's wonderful," I said flatly. "I'm happy you're doing so well." Dad cleared his throat. "Ariana, you need to let this go. Family sticks together. Courtney needed help, and you weren't using your good credit anyway." "Wasn't using it?" I set down my fork carefully. "Dad, that's my financial identity, my credit score, my borrowing power, my entire economic future." "Oh, stop being so dramatic," Mom said, waving her hand dismissively. "It's just paperwork. Besides, what are you going to do? Sue your own sister? That would make you look terrible." Courtney leaned forward, her voice dropping to a mock whisper. "And honestly, Ari, even if you wanted to do something, what could you actually do? You're broke. You live in that sad little apartment. You can't afford a lawyer. Meanwhile, I've got connections now. Drake knows people. Important people." I excused myself to the bathroom, my hands shaking as I closed the door. I pulled out my phone and called my supervisor, Gerald Thompson. "Talk to me," he answered on the first ring. "It's worse than I thought," I whispered. "She's bragging about it. Multiple uses of the funds. I need a full forensic pull on her accounts and any associated business entities. Name is Drake Sullivan. On it. Give me 10 minutes." I splashed cold water on my face and stared at my reflection. 32 years old, and my own family saw me as weak, as someone to be used and discarded. They had no idea what I actually did for a living. I'd kept it vague, let them think I was some low-level bank employee processing paperwork. It was easier than dealing with their jealousy or demands for insider information. When I returned to the table, they were laughing about something else. I sat down and picked up my fork again. "So, Courtney," I said casually, "how exactly did you get all my information? Social security number, birth certificate, all of that?" She shrugged. "Mom and Dad gave it to me. All your documents are still in their safe from when you lived here." I turned to my parents slowly. "You gave her my documents?" "Well, yes," Mom said defensively. "She needed them, and it's not like you were going to miss them. You understand that's identity theft, right? You facilitated a federal crime." Dad's face reddened. "Don't you dare talk to your mother like that. We did what we thought was best for this family. Courtney has always been more ambitious than you, more driven. She was going places, and she needed a little boost." "A boost." I repeated the words, tasting their absurdity. "With my identity." "Oh, get over yourself," Courtney snapped. "You act like you're so perfect, but look at you. You're 32 and you've accomplished nothing. No husband, no house, no real career. At least I'm making something of my life." My phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out, glancing at the screen. The message from Gerald made my blood run cold. Ariana, we pulled the records. It's not one loan. There are 7 different loans across 4 banks totaling $350,000. Multiple credit cards opened in your name, all maxed out. This has been happening for 2 years. Your credit score is destroyed. This is systematic fraud. I must have made some sound, because Courtney looked at me with fake concern. What's wrong, Ari? You look pale. 7 loans? I said quietly. $350,000. 2 years. The table went silent. Courtney's face flickered with something. Just for a second. Fear, maybe. But then her expression hardened. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. I placed my phone on the table, screen down. You didn't just take out 1 loan last month. You've been systematically stealing my identity for 2 years. 7 different loans. 3 credit cards. You've destroyed my credit completely. This isn't a mistake or a desperate moment. This is a pattern. This is organized. Mom stood up, her chair scraping loudly. How dare you accuse your sister of lying? You're just upset that she's successful. Successful? I laughed, and it sounded bitter even to my own ears. She's a criminal, and apparently so are you and Dad. You gave her access to my documents. You enabled this. Your accessories to identity theft. Dad pointed his finger at me. You watch your mouth. If you cause trouble for Courtney, you're out of this family. Do you understand me? You'll be dead to us. Courtney stood up too, smoothing her designer dress. You know what? Report me if you want. It's family. No prosecutor will touch this case. It'll just be your word against mine. And guess what? Mom and Dad will back me up. You've got nothing. She grabbed her purse, that smug smile back on her face. Thanks for dinner, Mom. I've got to meet Drake. We're celebrating our new investment opportunities. Wait, I said. Tell me more about Drake's business. What kind of investment company? Why do you care? Just curious about what my money is funding. She laughed. It's brilliant, actually. He's got this network of investors, and each one brings in more investors, and everyone makes money. It's like this beautiful, expanding tree of wealth. My stomach dropped. That's a pyramid scheme. It's not a pyramid scheme. Courtney's voice rose. It's multi-level marketing with investment opportunities. Completely legal. Drake explained it all. What's Drake's full name? Drake Sullivan. Why? Because I'd seen that name on a case file just last week. Drake Sullivan was under investigation by the Securities and Exchange Commission for running exactly the kind of scheme Courtney had just described. And if my stolen identity was connected to his operation, this was about to get much worse. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Gerald, and this one made my hands go numb. Ariana, we cross, referenced Drake Sullivan. He's under investigation for money laundering through fake business loans. The $350,000 in your name has been traced to 12 shell companies. This isn't just identity theft anymore. This is organized financial crime connected to a federal money laundering case. Your sister is facing federal charges, minimum 15 to 20 years. I looked up at Courtney, who was putting on her coat, still smiling, still thinking she'd won. She had no idea what was coming. None of them did. Before you go, I said, my voice steady now. I need to understand something. How did you get access to all my documents? My social security number, birth certificate, all of it. That's not just sitting around. Courtney paused, her hand on the back of her chair. I already told you. Mom and Dad helped. I turned to my parents, really looking at them. My mother wouldn't meet my eyes. My father's jaw was set in that stubborn way I'd known my whole life. Dad, I said quietly, did you know Courtney was taking out multiple loans? Don't interrogate your father, Mom snapped. It's a simple question. Dad sighed heavily. We knew she needed help. She was in a tough spot financially, and you were doing fine. You didn't need your good credit. You weren't buying a house or starting a business. It seemed reasonable to let her use it. Reasonable. I felt something crack inside me. You gave my sister permission to commit identity theft because you decided I didn't need my own financial identity? You're being overdramatic, Mom said. It's just credit. It's not like she hurt you physically. She destroyed my financial life. Do you understand that? I can't buy a house now. I can't get a car loan. I can't even get approved for an apartment lease. My credit score is in the basement. And you both knew. You both helped her do this to me. Courtney crossed her arms. Oh, please. You act like you're some kind of victim. You should be thanking me. Now you have an excuse for why your life is going nowhere. Why do you hate me so much? The question came out before I could stop it. Hate you? Courtney laughed. I don't hate you, Ari. I just don't think about you much at all. You're like background noise. Always have been. Mom and Dad's little disappointment. Mom flinched, but didn't contradict her. I stood up, pulling my phone out again. Tell me about Drake's business. The one you invested $40,000 of my money into. It's none of your business. Humor me. She rolled her eyes. Fine. Drake has this network of business consultants. They help other businesses grow, and they take a percentage of the profits. Each consultant brings in more consultants, and everyone moves up the ladder. It's completely legitimate. And the 12 shell companies? Courtney's face went white. What? The 12 shell companies that the $350,000 has been funneled through. Did Drake tell you about those? I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. I took a step closer. Drake Sullivan is under federal investigation for money laundering. The pyramid scheme you just described? That's just the surface. He's washing money through fake business loans, and you've been helping him do it with my identity. You're lying, Courtney whispered, but I could see the doubt creeping into her eyes. Am I? When's the last time you actually saw where your investment money went? Did Drake show you bank statements? Business registrations? Or did he just tell you pretty stories about getting rich? Drake loves me. He wouldn't lie to me. Drake is using you, I said flatly. And now you're not just facing identity theft charges. You're facing federal money laundering charges. We're talking 15 to 20 years in federal prison, Courtney. Minimum. Mom made a choking sound. Dad stood up, his face red. That's enough, he said. You're trying to scare your sister. Drake is a good man. He's been nothing but kind to this family. Has he? I looked at my father. Have you met him more than once or twice? Has he ever come to family dinners? Or does Courtney always go to him? The silence was damning. I thought so. I pulled up my phone, showing them the screen. I'm a senior federal banking investigator. I've been one for 6 years. I work in the Financial Crimes Division, specializing in identity theft and money laundering cases. And everything Courtney just admitted to, I've been recording. The room exploded. You're lying, Courtney screamed. She's bluffing, Mom said, but her voice shook. Dad just stared at me, and for the first time, I saw something that might have been fear in his eyes. I pulled out my federal credentials from my purse, laying them on the table. My badge, my ID card with the Treasury Department seal, my authorization to investigate financial crimes. 6 years, I repeated. I kept it quiet because I didn't want you all hassling me for information or favors. I just wanted to do my job. But now my job and my family have collided in the worst possible way. Courtney grabbed for the credentials, but I snatched them back. It's fake, she said desperately. She bought that online. You can buy anything online. You can verify it, I said calmly. Call the Treasury Department. Ask for Gerald Thompson in financial crimes. He'll confirm I'm his senior investigator. Mom started crying, those manipulative tears she'd always used to get her way. Ariana, please. You can't do this to your sister. She's family. You have to protect her. Protect her? I felt that crack inside me widen. The way you protected me? By giving her my identity to destroy? Dad moved toward me, and for a moment, I thought he might actually try to physically intimidate me. But he stopped. His hands clenched into fists. If you do this, he said, his voice low and dangerous, you're no longer my daughter. You'll be disowned. Cut off. You'll never be welcome in this house again. Then I guess I won't be welcome here again. The doorbell rang. Everyone froze. Expecting someone? I asked quietly. The doorbell rang again, followed by a firm knock. Federal agents. A voice called through the door. We have a warrant. Courtney's legs seemed to give out. She collapsed into her chair, all the color draining from her face. No, she whispered. No, no, no. Dad rushed to the door, yanking it open. 4 federal agents stood there, badges displayed, firearms holstered but visible. Behind them, I could see 2 unmarked cars with their lights on. Agent Patricia Stone stepped forward, holding up a document. We have a warrant for the arrest of Courtney Hayes on charges of identity theft, bank fraud, and conspiracy to commit money laundering. We also have a warrant to search this premises for documents related to said crimes. You can't do this, Mom sobbed. She's our daughter. Ma'am, please step aside. Agent Stone's voice was professional but not unkind. She'd worked with me on a dozen cases. She knew how hard this was. 2 agents moved past Dad, approaching Courtney. She looked at me, and for the first time in my life, I saw real fear in my sister's eyes. Ariana, she said, her voice breaking, please, don't let them do this. Courtney Hayes, you're under arrest. Agent Stone began reading her rights as another agent produced handcuffs. No! Courtney tried to stand, to run, but the agents were faster. They turned her around, cuffing her hands behind her back with practiced efficiency. Mom collapsed onto the couch, wailing. Dad just stood there, staring at me with something that looked like hatred. Mr. and Mrs. Hayes, Agent Stone said, we'll need to search your home. Specifically, we're looking for documents belonging to Ariana Hayes, as well as any correspondence with Drake Sullivan or evidence of knowledge regarding the fraudulent loans. Knowledge? Dad's voice cracked. What are you talking about? You admitted to providing access to your daughter's personal documents for the express purpose of identity theft. That makes you accessories to the crime. Depending on what we find here, you may also face charges. Mom's wailing intensified. Dad sank into a chair, his face gray. The agents moved through the house systematically. I stayed in the living room, watching Courtney standing there in handcuffs, her designer dress and perfect makeup suddenly looking like a costume. I didn't know, she said suddenly, her voice small. About the money laundering. Drake never told me. I swear, Ari, I just thought I was helping him build his business. You took out 7 loans in my name, I said. 7. Over 2 years. That's not helping someone. That's systematic theft. I know. Tears ran down her face, smearing her mascara. I know, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Agent Stone. Another agent's voice came from upstairs. Found something. We all moved to the staircase. The agent was coming down with a cardboard box. Inside, I could see folders, documents, what looked like my birth certificate on top. This was in the master bedroom closet, the agent said. Hidden behind some storage boxes. Contains extensive personal documents belonging to the victim, as well as correspondence between Mrs. Hayes and the suspect regarding procurement of said documents. That's impossible, Mom gasped. I didn't write anything down. The agent pulled out a piece of paper. Even from where I stood, I could see Mom's handwriting. Emails, the agent clarified. Printed emails between you and Courtney Hayes, discussing how to access Ariana's documents without her knowledge. Dates go back 3 years. 3 years. They'd been planning this for 3 years. Agent Stone pulled me aside while her team processed the scene. Your supervisor is outside. He wanted to make sure you were okay. I'm fine, I said automatically. Ariana. Her voice softened. You don't have to be fine. This is your family. Yeah. I looked at Courtney being led toward the door, at my parents who'd betrayed me so completely, at the house I'd grown up in that suddenly felt like a stranger's home. It is. As the agents prepared to leave, Gerald Thompson appeared in the doorway. He looked at me, at the scene, and gave a subtle nod. Then he approached Agent Stone. "There's been a development," he said quietly, but I was close enough to hear. "Drake Sullivan was arrested 2 hours ago trying to board a flight to Mexico. He's already talking." "That was fast," Stone said. "He gave up everything for a deal. Names, accounts, operations." Gerald glanced at Courtney. "He says she wasn't just his girlfriend. She was his partner. She recruited 4 other people to commit identity theft, using family members' information. Ariana, her husband's brother, 2 cousins, and a family friend. Total fraud is over $1 million. I felt the floor tilt beneath me. "Courtney ran an identity theft ring?" I heard myself ask. Gerald nodded grimly. "She's not a victim here, Ariana. She's an architect. Drake handled the money laundering side, but she built the identity theft operation. We're talking federal racketeering charges now. 25 years minimum." I looked at my sister. Really looked at her. She was crying, her face a mess of tears and makeup. But behind the tears, I saw something else. Calculation. Even now, even in handcuffs, she was thinking about how to spin this, how to make herself the victim. "Take her," I told Agent Stone. As they led Courtney out to the car, she looked back at me one last time. "I'm still your sister," she called out. "You can't just abandon me." But I'd already turned away. 3 days after Courtney's arrest, I woke up at 2 a.m. to my phone buzzing. Unknown number. I let it go to voicemail, but then it rang again. Same number. On the 3rd ring, I answered. "Hello?" Silence, then a click. I sat up in bed, suddenly wide awake. Wrong numbers didn't call back 3 times. I checked my other messages. 3 texts from numbers I didn't recognize. "Traitor. You'll pay for what you did. Family killer." My hands started shaking. I took screenshots of everything and forwarded them to Gerald. Then I got dressed, checked my locks, and sat in my living room with all the lights on until dawn. At 6 a.m, I went down to my car. All 4 tires were slashed, deep cuts that oozed rubber onto the pavement. On my windshield, someone had spray painted a single word in red: snitch. Building security met me at my car, took photos, filed a report. I called the police. They came, wrote everything down, but their expressions said they'd seen this before. Family retaliation. Hard to prove, harder to prosecute. "Change your parking spot," the officer suggested. "Maybe stay with a friend for a few days." I went back to my apartment and found my door vandalized. More spray paint, more hate. The super promised to paint over it, but I could still see the ghost of the words through the fresh coat. Family traitor. At work, Gerald called me into his office. His face was grave. "Someone accessed your work email," he said without preamble, "from inside the building." "What?" "Last night, around midnight. Someone used a terminal in the file room to log into your account. They downloaded case files, contact information, your personal calendar." My mouth went dry. "Who?" "We don't know yet. IT is pulling security footage. But Ariana, we have a leak. Someone in this department has been feeding information to Drake's associates. We're conducting an internal investigation, but until we know who it is, you're compromised. So what do I do?" "Work from home. We'll set you up with secure remote access. And I'm assigning you protective detail." "Protective detail?" "Gerald, that's for witnesses in danger. You are a witness in danger." He pulled up something on his computer, turned the screen toward me. "These came through the tip line last night. Anonymous." I read the messages, each one worse than the last. Threats against me, against my family, detailed descriptions of my daily routine, places I went, routes I took. Someone was watching me. "Pack a bag," Gerald said. "Agent Stone will take you to a hotel. Register under a different name. Don't tell anyone where you're staying. Not friends, not family, not even your neighbor." I spent the next week in a hotel room in a part of the city I barely knew, working on my laptop and jumping at every sound in the hallway. Agent Stone checked on me twice a day, but mostly I was alone with my thoughts and my fear. On the 8th day, my cousin Madison called. She was the only family member who'd reached out since Courtney's arrest. "Ariana, I think you should know," she said, her voice tight. "The family is turning against you. Hard. Uncle Bernard is trying to get everyone together to hire a lawyer. He wants to sue you for defamation." "Defamation?" I reported a crime. "He's claiming you fabricated the charges because you were jealous of Courtney's success. He's got half the family believing it. They're saying you planted evidence, that you're abusing your position, that this is all some vendetta." I closed my eyes. "Do you believe that?" "No," Madison said immediately. "I believe you. I've always known Courtney was manipulative. But Ari, I'm in the minority here. Most of them think you're the villain in this story." After we hung up, I sat on the hotel bed and cried for the first time since this all began. Not pretty tears, not quiet ones. Big, gasping sobs that felt like they were tearing me apart from the inside. I'd done the right thing. I knew I'd done the right thing. But it felt like I'd lost everything anyway. The hotel phone rang at 2 a.m, jolting me from restless sleep. "Hello?" My voice was hoarse. "You should have kept your mouth shut." A woman's voice, low and cold. The line went dead. 30 seconds later, the fire alarm started screaming. I grabbed my bag and ran for the stairs, joining the flood of guests evacuating. In the lobby, pushing through the crowd, I saw him. A man in a dark jacket, standing near the entrance, his eyes locked on me. When he realized I'd spotted him, he didn't look away. He smiled. Then he turned and walked out into the night. My phone rang. "Agent Stone." "Get out now," she said. No preamble. "We intercepted communications. There's a contract on you. Drake's associates hired someone to eliminate you before trial. You're the key witness. They think if you disappear, the case falls apart." "There's a man," I gasped, running toward where I'd seen Stone's car earlier. Dark jacket, outside the hotel. "I see him. Run." I ran, pushed through people, ignored their complaints, kept my eyes on the black sedan pulling up to the curb. Stone threw open the passenger door and I dove in. She was already moving before I got my seatbelt on. In the rearview mirror, I saw the man in the dark jacket running toward the hotel entrance, his hand reaching into his coat. "Gun," Stone said tersely into her radio. "Suspect is armed. Hotel Riverside, corner of 5th and Main. Get units there now." We sped through empty streets, Stone taking turns so fast my body pressed against the door. Finally, she pulled into an underground parking garage, killed the lights, and we sat in silence. "You're going into protective custody," she said. "Safe house. No arguments." "For how long?" "As long as it takes." I spent the next 2 weeks in a house I couldn't identify, in a neighborhood I'd never seen, with agents I barely knew. I gave testimony via video conference. I worked on case files remotely. I existed in a bubble of fear and isolation while my life outside continued without me. The internal investigation found the leak. Stephanie Walsh, a junior analyst who'd been with the department for 8 months. Turned out she was Drake's ex-girlfriend, still carrying a torch, and she'd been feeding him information about ongoing investigations. She'd accessed my files specifically to give Drake's network everything they needed to target me. Stephanie was arrested. My files were secured. I was cleared to return to work, though with a permanent security escort whenever I entered or left the building. The trial date was set, 6 weeks away. A lawyer delivered a letter from my mother. I opened it with shaking hands. "Ariana, you are no longer my daughter. You chose to destroy this family for your career. Courtney needed help and understanding, not handcuffs. You are cold, calculating, and heartless. Do not contact me ever again. You are dead to us." The next day, another legal notice. My father was suing me for emotional distress, claiming my actions had caused him severe psychological harm. Courtney's lawyer filed a motion to dismiss all charges, arguing that I'd fabricated evidence due to a long-standing history of sibling rivalry and jealousy. Then the media got the story. Federal agent arrests own sister ran on the local news. then got picked up nationally. My face was everywhere. Social media exploded with opinions. Some called me a hero. Others called me a monster who'd destroyed her own family for ambition. My boyfriend, Justin, called me from the coffee shop where we'd planned to meet. "I can't do this," he said. "It's too much. The media attention, the danger, all of it. I'm sorry, Ariana. I care about you, but I can't be part of this." Friends stopped calling. Invitations dried up. People I'd known for years suddenly had no time for me. I stopped going to work, called in sick for 3 days straight, lay in bed and stared at the ceiling, wondering if I'd made the worst mistake of my life. On the 4th day, Gerald showed up at my apartment. "Open the door, Hayes," he called through it. "I know you're in there." I let him in. He took one look at me and sighed. "You look terrible." "Thanks. When's the last time you ate?" "I don't remember." He ordered pizza, made me eat 2 slices, then sat across from me at my kitchen table. "You did the right thing," he said quietly. "I know it doesn't feel that way right now, but you did." "Did I?" "Because it feels like I destroyed my life for nothing. Courtney's lawyer is going to get the charges dismissed. My family hates me. I've lost almost everyone I care about. And for what? For justice." Gerald's voice was firm. "For the other victims. For the rule of law. And Ariana, the charges aren't getting dismissed. We have Drake's testimony, the financial records, the evidence. Courtney's lawyer is just doing his job, throwing everything at the wall. But it won't stick." "I'm so tired," I whispered. "I know." He stood up, patted my shoulder awkwardly. "Take the rest of the week. Rest. But next Monday, I need you back. Because this isn't over, and you're the strongest person on my team. Don't let them break you." After he left, I cleaned my apartment, showered, slept for 12 hours straight. And when I woke up, there was a woman at my door. She was older, maybe late 50s, with gray hair and eyes that had seen too much. "Ariana Hayes?" she asked when I opened the door. "Who's asking?" "My name is Clara Hayes. No relation, different family. But I know who you are, and I know what you're going through with your sister and Drake Sullivan." "How do you know about Drake?" "Because 15 years ago, he destroyed my life." Clara's voice was steady, but I could hear the old pain underneath. Identity theft. Fraud. He took everything from me. My house, my savings, my credit. And when I tried to fight back, he disappeared. Changed his name, moved states, started over. I've been tracking him for a decade, watching his operations, gathering evidence. And now, finally, someone's actually arrested him. "Why are you here?" "Because what you've uncovered is bigger than you know." Clara pulled a flash drive from her purse. "I have evidence that Drake's operation is connected to organized crime. 3 states, multiple families. The identity theft ring is just one piece. There's mortgage fraud, tax evasion schemes, and worse. Much worse." "Worse how?" Clara's eyes met mine. "Human trafficking. The fake business loans? Some of them are funding trafficking operations, moving people across state lines for forced labor and exploitation. Your sister isn't just working for a fraud ring, Ariana. She's been part of a mob operation for 4 years." I felt the floor disappear beneath me. "And they'll kill to protect it," Clara continued. "Which is why you're in so much danger. The contract on you isn't about one case. It's about protecting an entire criminal empire." I let her in. We sat at my kitchen table, and she showed me everything. Files, recordings, witness names, a decade of investigation that law enforcement had missed or ignored. By the time she left, it was dark outside, and I knew that everything I'd thought about this case, about my sister, about what I was fighting, was just the tip of an iceberg that went down much, much deeper than I'd imagined. Monday morning, I walked into Gerald's office with Clara's flash drive. "We need to talk," I said. "It's bigger than we thought." He called in Agent Stone and 2 other senior investigators. We spent 4 hours going through Clara's evidence. By the time we finished, the room was silent. "This is RICO territory," Stone said finally. We need FBI, Treasury, maybe ATF, if the weapons trafficking allegations pan out. How fast can we mobilize? I asked. Gerald rubbed his face. Give me 48 hours. I'll need to brief the director, coordinate with other agencies, get warrants drafted. Courtney's trial is in 3 weeks. Then we move fast. He looked at me directly. Ariana, you understand what this means? Once we go after this organization, the danger level increases exponentially. These aren't just white-collar criminals anymore. These are people who hurt others for a living. I understand. Do you? Because I need to know you're prepared for what might happen. These people have already put a contract on you. If they realize you're the nexus of a massive federal operation that could take down their entire network, they won't stop at threats. Then we'd better move faster than they can react. The next 2 days were chaos. Federal task force meetings, strategy sessions, coordinated raids being planned across 3 states. I worked 20-hour days, surviving on coffee and adrenaline, preparing evidence and testimony that could bring down an entire criminal organization. On Wednesday, Courtney's lawyer requested a meeting. He wanted to offer a plea deal. My client is willing to testify against Drake Sullivan and others in his organization, the lawyer said in the conference room at the prosecutor's office. In exchange, we're requesting a reduced sentence. 5 years instead of 25. The prosecutor looked at me. What do you think? I stared at the table, thinking about everything Courtney had done, not just to me, but to the other victims, the families she'd helped destroy. What exactly will she testify to? I asked. Everything. Names, operations, bank accounts. She'll lay out the entire identity theft ring. And the trafficking? The lawyer's face tightened. We'd need immunity for that. Absolutely not, I said. If she was involved in trafficking operations, she doesn't get immunity. She gets consequences. Then no deal. I stood up. Fine. We'll convict her without her testimony. We have Drake. We have the financial records. We have the other victims. She can take her chances at trial. As I left the room, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Ariana Hayes? A shaky voice. Courtney's voice. How are you calling me from jail? I'm allowed phone calls. She sounded different. Smaller. Ari, I need to talk to you. Not as a federal investigator. As my sister. We're not sisters anymore. Mom made that clear. Please. She was crying now. Just listen. 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. Against my better judgment, I found a quiet corner. Talk. Drake threatened me, she said. Before any of this started. He had photos of me, Ari, compromising photos. He said if I didn't help him, he'd send them to everyone. To Mom and Dad, to my job, to everyone I knew. So I did what he asked. At first, it was just one loan, just helping him out. But then he said I had to do more, or he'd expose me. And more, and more. I wanted to stop, but I couldn't. He had too much on me. So you recruited other victims? He made me. Her voice broke. He said if I didn't bring him more identities, he'd hurt Mom and Dad. He knew where they lived. He had photos of their house, their daily routines. I was trying to protect them, Ari. I was trying to protect everyone. By destroying people's lives? I know what I did was wrong. I know. But I was trapped. And now, she sobbed. Now Drake's people know I'm in here. They know I might testify. And they're making threats, Ari. Real threats. About Mom and Dad. They know where they live. They've been watching them. My blood ran cold. What kind of threats? They want the evidence back. The documents Clara Hayes gave you. They know about her. They know everything. And they said if the raids happen, if anyone gets arrested, they'll kill Mom and Dad. Courtney, if you're lying to me. I'm not. Ari, please. You have to protect them. I know they chose me over you. I know they're terrible parents, but they don't deserve to die because of my mistakes. I hung up and immediately called Gerald. We need protection on my parents. Now, already done. We anticipated retaliation. There's an unmarked car outside their house 24/7. That's not enough. These people are professional criminals. They'll find a way. Then what do you suggest? Safe house. Move them tonight. Don't tell them where. Just get them somewhere secure. I'll make the calls. 2 hours later, Agent Stone and a team went to my parents' house. They found the front door unlocked. My father was in the kitchen, bleeding from a head wound. The place had been ransacked. My mother was gone. I got to the hospital as they were taking my father into emergency surgery. Agent Stone met me in the waiting room, her face grim. 3 men, masks, broke in around 6 p.m. Your father fought back. They beat him pretty badly. Then they took your mother. We found a note. She handed me a plastic evidence bag. Inside, a piece of paper with words cut from magazines like some sick movie cliché. Drop the case or she dies. Security cameras? Caught the van. We're tracking it now. FBI has mobilized a hostage rescue team. I sank into a chair. This was my fault. All of it. If I'd just paid off Courtney's loan, if I'd just let it go, my mother wouldn't be kidnapped right now. Stop, Stone said, reading my face. This isn't on you. This is on the criminals who took her. She's my mother. And she's a victim of the organization you're helping to dismantle. That's not your fault. But it felt like my fault. It felt like everything was my fault. My father came through surgery. Concussion, broken ribs, various contusions. He was conscious but groggy when I went into his room. Ariana, he mumbled through split lips. I'm here, Dad. They took your mother. These men. They were looking for something. Documents. Evidence. They kept asking where you were. I'm sorry, I whispered. I'm so sorry this happened. No. His hand found mine, squeezed weakly. I'm sorry. You were right about Courtney, about all of it. We should have believed you. We should have protected you. Instead, we protected a criminal and lost everything. Tears ran down my face. We're going to get Mom back. I promise. I know you will. His eyes were closing, the pain medication pulling him under. You're the strongest person I know. Always have been. We just couldn't see it. For 72 hours, I didn't sleep. I worked with the FBI hostage rescue team, analyzing every piece of evidence, tracking every lead. We used Clara's information and the financial records to identify possible locations where they might be holding my mother. 3 safe houses used by the organization. We planned simultaneous raids, coordinating with SWAT teams across 2 states. On the 3rd night, I put on a tactical vest and went with the team. Gerald tried to stop me, but I wouldn't be stopped. She's my mother, I said. I'm going. The first location was empty. Signs that people had been there recently, but they'd cleared out. The second location was a trap. We breached the door and walked into gunfire. 2 suspects arrested in the shootout, but no hostages. Just a setup to slow us down. By the time we got to the 3rd location, a warehouse on the outskirts of the city, it was almost midnight. Surveillance showed heat signatures inside. At least 1 person in the back room, possibly more. We went in fast and hard. Flashbangs shouting, controlled chaos. I stayed behind the tactical team, my heart hammering so hard I thought it might explode. In the back room, tied to a chair, was my mother. She was alive, bruised, terrified, but alive. I ran to her, cutting the zip ties, pulling her into my arms. She collapsed against me, sobbing. I'm sorry, she kept saying. I'm so sorry, Ariana, for everything. 3 suspects were arrested at the scene. More would be arrested in the coming hours as we rolled up the network. At the hospital, my mother and father held each other and cried. I sat in the corner, exhausted beyond words, and watched my family begin to heal. The trial happened 2 weeks later. Courtney took the stand, but not as part of a plea deal. She testified with full immunity in exchange for complete cooperation. She laid out the entire operation, named names, provided documentation. 17 people were arrested, including 3 leaders of the organized crime network. Drake Sullivan got 30 years. Stephanie Walsh, the analyst who leaked information, got 8. Courtney received 12 years for her cooperation, significantly less than the 25 she'd faced, but still substantial time. The day of her sentencing, I went to the courthouse. We hadn't spoken since her confession about Drake's threats. I sat in the gallery as the judge read the sentence. Courtney turned, her eyes finding mine in the courtroom. She mouthed 2 words, "Thank you." I nodded once. Not forgiveness, not yet, but acknowledgement. 3 months after the trial, I visited Courtney in federal prison. We sat across from each other in the visiting room, a table between us, guards nearby. "You look different," she said. Her designer clothes were gone, replaced by prison khakis. Her hair was pulled back simply. She looked younger somehow, without all the artifice. "So do you." "I'm in therapy," she said. "Court mandated. But actually it's helping. I'm starting to understand how messed up I was, how messed up our family was. Yeah, I'm sorry, Ari. Really sorry. Not just for the identity theft, but for everything. The way I treated you our whole lives. The way I let Mom and Dad treat you. The way I made you feel like you didn't matter. Why did you do it?" "The identity theft, I mean. Drake's threats don't explain 2 years of systematic fraud." She was quiet for a long time. "Jealousy," she finally said. "You were always the good one, the one who did everything right, and I was the screw-up, but at least I was the favorite. At least Mom and Dad loved me more. And then I found out about your job, about how successful you were, and I couldn't stand it. I wanted to drag you down to my level. I wanted you to hurt the way I hurt. You could have just talked to me. I know that now." Tears slipped down her face. "I know a lot of things now. Prison gives you time to think. Too much time. And I think about all the people I hurt. You, the other victims, Mom and Dad, even myself. I destroyed my own life trying to destroy yours. You almost got Mom killed. I know." Her voice broke. "I know. And I'll never forgive myself for that. Never. When I heard she'd been taken, I wanted to die. I wanted to just stop existing because the guilt was so overwhelming. But you testified. You helped us take down the organization. It was the only good thing I'd done in years. The only right choice. And even that was too little. Too late." We sat in silence for a while. Then I said, "I don't forgive you yet. Maybe I won't ever fully forgive you. But I don't hate you either. That's more than I deserve. Probably." I stood up. "I should go." "Ari?" She looked up at me, and I saw my sister again. Not the criminal, not the manipulator, but the girl I'd grown up with. "Will you come back? To visit, I mean." "You don't have to. I understand if you can't. But I'd like it if you did." "Maybe," I said. "In time." My parents sold their house and moved into a smaller place closer to me. The first Sunday after they settled in, they invited me for dinner. I almost didn't go. But something made me pull up to their new house. A modest ranch in a quiet neighborhood. Nothing like the big house I'd grown up in, the one full of bad memories. Dad answered the door. His injuries had healed, but he moved more carefully now, like he'd aged a decade in a few months. "Come in," he said quietly. Mom was in the kitchen. When she saw me, she put down the dish towel and just stood there. "Hi," I said. "Hi." She twisted the towel in her hands. "I made pot roast. I remembered it's your favorite." It wasn't, actually. That was Courtney's favorite. But I didn't correct her. We sat at the table, the 3 of us, and it was awkward. Painfully, terribly awkward. Nobody knew what to say. We'd spent so many years being one kind of family that we didn't know how to be a different kind. Finally, Dad cleared his throat. "I've been going to therapy. We both have." "That's good," I said. "The therapist has been helping us understand how we failed you, how we enabled Courtney's behavior and punished you for being responsible." How we created an environment where one daughter felt entitled to hurt the other. Mom started crying quietly. We were terrible parents to you. I couldn't argue with that. We'd like to try to be better, Dad continued. If you'll let us. We don't expect forgiveness. We don't deserve it. But we'd like the chance to know you. The real you. The daughter we never bothered to see. What changed? I asked. Why now? Almost losing your mother, Dad said simply. Sitting in that hospital, thinking she might die, and realizing that if she did, my last conversation with her would have been defending the daughter who'd ruined our lives, while disowning the daughter who tried to save us. That's a terrible legacy to leave. And I realized, Mom added, her voice shaking, that I'd been carrying around this image of who I wanted my daughters to be. I wanted Courtney to be successful and glamorous. I wanted you to be, I don't even know, less, smaller, someone who needed me. And when neither of you fit my fantasy, I forced you into those roles anyway. I made Courtney into someone who felt entitled to take whatever she wanted, and I made you into someone who felt like she didn't matter. You're a federal investigator, Dad said, and there was something in his voice. Pride, maybe. You've been doing this important, dangerous work for 6 years, and we never even asked about it, never celebrated it, never acknowledged that our daughter was out there making a real difference in the world. Tell us about it? Mom asked. Your job, your life, everything we should have been asking about all along. So I did. Slowly at first, then more easily. I told them about my cases, my team, the challenges and victories of fighting financial crime. They listened, asked questions, actually seemed interested. It wasn't forgiveness. It wasn't healing, not yet. But it was a beginning. Over the following months, Sunday dinners became a regular thing. Sometimes they were comfortable. Sometimes they were painful. We were learning each other. These 3 people who'd shared a house but never really been a family. At work, I received a commendation from the director of the Treasury Department. A formal ceremony, a plaque, a letter of appreciation for my work on the case that had taken down a major organized crime operation. Gerald pulled me aside afterward. You're being promoted. Lead investigator. Your own team. You've earned it. I don't know what to say. Say yes. Say you'll keep doing this important work. Say you'll keep being exactly who you are. Yes, I said. Absolutely yes. Clara Hayes became a consultant for our department, using her decades of experience tracking financial criminals to help train new agents. We had coffee every week, swapping war stories and strategies. You know what I learned from all this? She said one afternoon. What? That sometimes the worst thing that happens to you can become the most meaningful thing you do. My life was destroyed by Drake Sullivan, but my quest to bring him down ended up helping take down an entire criminal network. Suffering found purpose. I like that, I said. Suffering found purpose. Personally, life was harder. Justin never came back. Most of my old friends had drifted away during the chaos, but I made new friends, ones who understood the work I did and the sacrifices it required. I started dating again. Carefully, slowly. I met Jordan, an attorney who worked in civil rights law. On our 3rd date, I told them everything about my family, the case, the mess I'd lived through. That must have been incredibly difficult, Jordan said. It was. Are you glad you did it? Reported your sister, I mean. Every single day, I answered honestly. And also, some days I wish I'd never found out. Both things can be true. Both things are true, Jordan agreed. 1 year after the arrests, I received a letter from a woman I'd never met. Her name was Patricia Dunn, and she'd been one of Courtney's victims. Her cousin had stolen her identity, using the same methods Courtney had taught Drake's network. I wanted to thank you, she wrote. Because of your courage in reporting your own sister, my cousin was arrested too. My credit is being restored. My life is being rebuilt. You saved me from years of financial ruin. You probably saved dozens of people. I know it cost you your family, and I'm sorry for that. But please know that your sacrifice mattered. It mattered to me. I put the letter on my refrigerator, where I'd see it every morning. One afternoon, I got a call from the prison. Courtney had been in a fight. Another inmate had attacked her, claiming Courtney had ratted out her boyfriend to the feds. Courtney survived, but she had a black eye and a broken finger. "They hate me in here," she said when I visited. "The other inmates, they know I testified. I'm labeled a snitch. I'm sorry." "Don't be. It's what I deserve." She touched her bruised face gently. "This is justice. Real justice. Not just a sentence, but consequences I have to live with every day. Are you safe?" The guards moved me to a different unit. Protective custody for now. It's lonelier, but safer. She looked at me. "How's your life? Are you happy?" "Getting there," I said honestly. "It's a process." "Good. I'm glad." She smiled, and it looked genuine. "You deserve to be happy, Ari. You always did." I was sleeping when my phone rang at 2:30 in the morning. Emergency calls never came during reasonable hours. "Hayes," I answered, already sitting up. "It's Gerald. We've got a problem. Someone tried to access our federal case database tonight. They were looking for files on the organized crime case. Specifically, they were looking for witness identities." I was already getting dressed. "Did they get anything?" "That's the thing. They got past 3 security protocols before the system locked them out. Whoever this is, they're sophisticated, and they knew exactly what they were looking for. Inside job? We're investigating, but it looks external. Someone hacked us remotely. The tech team is trying to trace the origin, but it's routing through about 15 different countries." "Why are you calling me?" "Because 10 minutes after the attempted breach, your parents' security alarm went off. Police are on scene now. Your father called me directly. He said someone tried to break in." I was in my car before he finished talking. At my parents' house, 2 police cars were in the driveway, lights flashing. My father was on the front porch, baseball bat in hand. My mother was on the phone with the alarm company. "What happened?" I asked, running up the steps. "Someone tried to open the back door," Dad said. His voice was steady, but I could see his hands shaking. "The alarm went off, and they ran. I saw a figure going over the back fence." "Did you see a face?" "Too dark. But Ariana, this isn't random. This is connected to the case, isn't it?" "I don't know yet. But I did know. I knew with cold certainty that someone from the organization we'd taken down was coming after the witnesses. And my parents, as accessories who'd been granted immunity in exchange for testimony, were on that list." The next morning, I sat in an emergency meeting with Gerald, Agent Stone, and representatives from the FBI. "We're seeing a pattern," the FBI agent said, pulling up a map on the screen. 3 witnesses from the original case have reported suspicious activity in the last week. Break-in attempts, cars following them, threatening phone calls. Someone is systematically targeting everyone who testified. "Drake Sullivan is in federal prison," I said. "Maximum security. He can't be coordinating this." "No, but his network can. We arrested the leadership, but there are still associates out there, and they're organized. They're planning something." "What do you recommend?" "Protective custody for all primary witnesses. Safe houses. New identities if necessary, until we can identify and neutralize the threat. My parents can't just disappear. They have lives, jobs, a home. They can, and they will, if they want to stay alive." The agent's voice was firm. "This is serious, Agent Hayes. These people have already killed before. They won't hesitate to kill again." My parents were relocated that night. 1 suitcase each, no forwarding address, no contact with anyone outside law enforcement. It was supposed to be temporary, but 2 weeks turned into a month, and a month turned into 2. During that time, I threw myself into work. We were tracking the threats, following money trails, trying to identify who was funding this revenge campaign. And then we found it. Buried in offshore accounts, hidden behind 3 layers of shell companies, was a payment of $500,000 made the week after the trial ended. Payment to a known enforcer, a man named Victor Reeves, who specialized in witness elimination. Victor Reeves had a record that made my blood run cold. 8 suspected murders, all witnesses or informants in federal cases, never convicted, always managing to slip away. And now he was being paid to eliminate everyone connected to our case. The FBI put out alerts, increased security on all witnesses, started a manhunt for Reeves. But he was a ghost. No current address, no known associates, no digital footprint. He could be anywhere. I was in my office reviewing files when my cell phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Agent Hayes. A man's voice, calm and professional. My name is Victor Reeves. I think we should talk. My hand froze. Where are you? Close enough. I wanted you to know that I don't kill people for free. I kill them because I'm paid to. And right now, I'm paid very well to kill 7 specific people. Your parents are on that list. If you touch them, I'm not going to touch them. His voice was almost amused. Because you're going to give me what I want, and then I'm going to take my money and disappear. Everyone wins. What do you want? The evidence. Everything Clara Hayes gave you. All the files, recordings, documentation that hasn't been entered into the court record yet. The material that could be used to pursue additional charges against the organization's remaining members. That's federal evidence. I can't just hand it over. Then, your parents die. Your cousin Madison dies. Agent Stone dies. Clara Hayes dies. I have contracts on 7 people, and I will fulfill those contracts unless you give me what I want. How do I know you'll keep your word? You don't. But you don't have a choice. You have 24 hours. I'll call back with instructions. The line went dead. I immediately called Gerald, then Agent Stone, then the FBI. We traced the call. It came from a burner phone, already destroyed. No way to track him. We're not giving him the evidence, Gerald said firmly. That's non-negotiable. Then how do we protect the witnesses? We find him first. But finding a professional who'd evaded capture for a decade wasn't simple. The FBI dedicated a full team to the hunt, but Reeves stayed ahead of us. 23 hours after his call, my phone rang again. Time's almost up, Agent Hayes. Have you made your decision? I need more time. No. Then at least tell me why. Why are you doing this? You're just a hired gun. This isn't personal for you. You're right. It's not personal. It's business. And my business is built on reputation. If I take a contract and don't fulfill it, I'm done. Nobody will hire me again. So I always finish what I start. Always. Even if it means killing innocent people. There are no innocent people in this world, Agent Hayes. Just people who haven't been caught yet. If you kill my parents, I will never stop hunting you. Do you understand that? I will dedicate my life to finding you. I believe you would, which is why I'm offering you an alternative. Give me the evidence, and everyone lives. Keep it, and everyone dies. Simple choice. After he hung up, I sat at my desk and put my head in my hands. There was no good option. Give up evidence that could prevent future crimes, or let 7 people die, including my own parents. Agent Stone found me like that an hour later. We got a break, she said. Reeves made a mistake. He used a credit card at a gas station. Fake name, but facial recognition got a hit. We know where he is. Where? Motel about 20 miles outside the city. SWAT team is assembling now. We're going to take him. I'm coming. Ariana, I'm coming. The raid happened at dawn. 12 agents, full tactical gear, coordinated breach. I stayed back with the command vehicle, watching through the body cameras as the team entered the motel room. It was empty. No Reeves. No evidence. Just an open laptop on the bed, showing a live video feed of my parents in their safe house, with Reeves standing behind them, a gun in his hand. Hello, Agent Hayes. His voice came through the laptop speakers. As you can see, I know where they are. Your witness protection didn't protect them from me. Now, You have 10 minutes to upload that evidence to the server I'm sending you, or I kill them both. Your choice. 10 minutes. The feed cut out. Chaos erupted. The FBI scrambled to trace the video source, to locate the safe house that had been compromised, to figure out how Reeves had found them. I stood frozen, watching the timer on my phone count down. 9 minutes, 8 minutes, 7. Upload the evidence, I told Gerald. We can't. They're my parents, and there are hundreds of potential future victims if that evidence disappears. I'm sorry, Ariana, but we have to trust that the team can find them in time. I grabbed his jacket. My mother was kidnapped once already because of this case. She almost died. I can't let that happen again. Then help us find them. He pulled my hands away, but gently. Use your brain. You're one of the best investigators I have. Where would he take them? How would he have found the safe house? Think. I forced myself to breathe. To think like an investigator, not a daughter. The safe house location was known only to a handful of people, but Reeves had found it, which meant either he'd hacked our systems or someone had told him. The database breach, I said suddenly. 2 weeks ago. We thought they didn't get anything, but what if they did? What if they got just enough information to narrow down the location? Even if they did, these safe houses don't have addresses listed in any database. No, but they have utility payments, property tax records. If you know the general area and you have someone checking recently activated utilities, you could narrow it down. Agent Stone was already on her phone. Get me utility company records for the last 3 months. All properties in the designated zones. Cross-reference with property tax payments made by federal agencies. 2 minutes left. Got something, Stone said. 4 possibilities. Sending locations to tactical teams now. It's not enough time, I said. My voice sounded hollow even to my own ears. They can't get to all 4 locations in 2 minutes. Gerald's phone rang. He answered, listened, then looked at me with an expression I couldn't read. That was the monitoring team. The safe house just went dark. All communications cut. Either Reeves disabled them, or he didn't finish. The timer hit 0. My phone rang. Unknown number. You didn't upload the files, Reeves said. Please, I whispered. Please don't hurt them. I told you what would happen. Wait. I'll give you whatever you want. Money, evidence, anything. Just let them go. It's too late for that, Agent Hayes. You made your choice. Now you have to live with it. Please. The line went dead. I collapsed into a chair, my entire body shaking. Agent Stone caught me before I hit the floor. We're still searching, she said. Don't give up. We're going to find them. But I knew. In my bones, in my heart, in every part of me that had become an investigator to fight against exactly this kind of evil, I knew we were too late. And then Gerald's phone rang again. He answered, listened, and his face changed. Say that again. A pause. You're sure? Positive ID? Another pause. We're on our way. He hung up and looked at me. They found them. All 4 safe houses were hit simultaneously, but the team got to the right one in time. Your parents are alive. I couldn't process the words. What? Reeves was in the middle of the room with a gun on your parents when the tactical team breached. He tried to shoot, but they took him down first. Non-lethal shots. He's in custody. Your parents are shaken but physically unharmed. I don't remember the drive to the hospital where they'd taken my parents for evaluation. I don't remember much of anything until I was in the room, seeing my mother alive, my father alive, both of them crying and holding each other. We're okay, Mom said when she saw me. We're okay, baby. I fell into her arms and sobbed, like I hadn't sobbed since I was a child. Outside the room, Gerald filled me in on the rest. Victor Reeves is talking. He wants a deal. Says he'll give up everyone who hired him, everyone in the organization still operating. Names, locations, accounts, everything. In exchange for what? Reduced sentence. 20 years instead of life. And the FBI is considering it. The names he has could lead to dozens more arrests, could shut down what's left of the organization for good. I want to be there when he talks. You're too close to this case. I don't care. I want to hear him say why he tried to kill my family. Gerald studied me for a long moment, then nodded. I'll arrange it. 2 days later, I sat across from Victor Reeves in a federal interrogation room. He looked ordinary. Mid-40s, average height, the kind of face you'd forget 5 minutes after seeing it. That's probably what made him so good at his job. Agent Hayes, he said when I entered. I'd hoped we could have met under better circumstances. You tried to kill my parents. I tried to do my job. Nothing personal. It's very personal to me. He shrugged. I understand. For what it's worth, I'm glad they're alive. Killing them would have been unfortunate but necessary. Now that I'm offering testimony, it's no longer necessary. So everyone wins, except your conscience. I don't have one of those anymore. Gave it up years ago. Makes the job easier. Why are you giving them up? The people who hired you? Because they paid me to do a job, then tried to kill me to cover their tracks. Found out about it 3 days ago. They put a contract on me. So now I'm protecting myself the only way I know how. By giving the feds everyone I know. Honor among thieves doesn't exist then. Never did. Anyone who thinks otherwise is a fool. He gave us 17 names. Every single one checked out. Within a week, federal agents across 3 states were making arrests. The remnants of the organization were finally, truly, finished. And my family was safe. 3 months after Victor Reeves was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison, I got a call from the warden at the facility where Courtney was serving her time. Your sister was attacked again, he said without preamble. This time it was serious. She's in the prison hospital. I drove to the prison that afternoon. Courtney was in a bed, her face swollen and bruised, her arm in a cast. It's getting worse, she said when she saw me. Her voice was thick from split lips. Every few weeks, someone comes after me. The other inmates, they all know I testified. I'm marked. Have you talked to the warden about protective custody? I'm already in protective custody. But there are only so many places they can put me. And word spreads. Someone always finds out where I am. What do you want me to do? I don't know. She looked so tired. Maybe nothing. Maybe this is just my life now. 12 years of looking over my shoulder, waiting for the next attack. You could request a transfer. Different facility, different state. And start over with a whole new group of people who'll hate me? What's the point? I sat in the chair beside her bed. The point is survival. The point is that you served the right purpose when it mattered. You helped take down a criminal organization. You saved lives, Courtney. That has to count for something. Does it? She met my eyes. Or am I just a rat who deserves whatever I get? You're my sister, I said quietly. And despite everything, I don't want to see you hurt. She started crying, those quiet tears that hurt more than sobs. I destroyed everything, didn't I? Your credit, your family relationships, your sense of safety. Mom and Dad almost died because of me. And for what? A car I don't have anymore, and money I gave to a criminal. You also helped bring that criminal to justice. Too little, too late. Maybe, but it's something. I arranged the transfer. Courtney was moved to a facility in another state, lower security, less violent. She'd have to start over, but at least she'd be safer. Before she left, I visited her one last time. Thank you, she said, for not giving up on me completely. I'm not sure what we are to each other anymore, I admitted. We're not the sisters we were. But maybe we can figure out what we are now. I'd like that. It'll take time. I've got 12 years. She smiled, and it was sad but genuine. Plenty of time. My parents sold their new house and moved again, this time to a small town 3 hours away. Somewhere quiet, where nobody knew their story, where they could rebuild without the weight of their past crushing them. I helped them move. As we packed boxes, Dad pulled me aside. I want you to have this, he said, handing me a small wooden box. Inside was my grandmother's ring, a simple gold band with a small diamond. "Dad, this was supposed to go to Courtney. It was supposed to go to the daughter who valued family," he said. "And I realize now that you've always been that daughter. You valued family enough to tell us the truth, even when it cost you everything. That takes more love than I ever understood." I put the ring on my finger. It fit perfectly. Mom joined us, wiping tears from her eyes. "We're so proud of you," she said. "I know we never said it before, but we're proud of the woman you've become, of the work you do, of the strength you showed when we gave you every reason to walk away." "I almost did walk away," I admitted. "But you didn't. You stayed and fought. You saved us, even after we'd failed you so completely." That's grace, Ariana. Real grace. Sunday dinners continued in their new town. The drives were longer, but worth it. We were learning to be a real family, slowly and imperfectly, but genuinely. At work, I took my new position as lead investigator seriously. I built a team of dedicated agents, and together we worked cases that made a difference. Financial crimes that ruined lives, identity theft that destroyed futures, money laundering that funded violence. We fought it all. Clara Hayes became not just a consultant, but a friend. We met for coffee every week, and she shared stories from her years of tracking financial criminals. "You know what the difference is between us and them?" she asked me once. "What?" "They think they're entitled to take what they want. We know we have to earn what we receive. They see victims as tools. We see them as people worth fighting for. That's why we'll always win in the end, no matter how long it takes." I framed that quote and put it on my office wall. Jordan and I got serious. They understood my work, my scars, my complicated relationship with my family. They didn't try to fix me or change me. They just loved me as I was. 1 year after all the arrests, I received an invitation to speak at a conference on financial crimes. They wanted me to share my story, to talk about the case that had taken down a major criminal organization. I almost declined. It was too personal, too painful, too raw. But then I thought about Patricia Dunn, the woman who'd written me that thank you letter. I thought about all the other victims whose lives had been restored because I'd made the hard choice to report my own sister. I accepted the invitation. Standing on that stage, looking out at hundreds of law enforcement professionals, I told them everything. About Courtney's confession at dinner, about the choice I'd faced, about the cost of doing what was right. "I lost my family," I said. "At least, I lost the family I thought I had. But in the process, I found something more important. I found my integrity. I found my purpose. And eventually, I found my way back to a family that was built on honesty instead of enabling, on truth instead of convenient lies. Doing the right thing cost me everything. My credit was destroyed. My relationships were shattered. My safety was compromised. There were moments when I wondered if it was worth it. Moments when I lay awake at night, terrified and alone, questioning every decision I'd made. But then I think about the victims we saved, the crimes we prevented, the justice we delivered, and I know that yes, it was worth it. Every painful, terrifying, devastating moment was worth it. Because family loyalty doesn't mean protecting people from the consequences of their crimes. Real love sometimes means letting people face the justice they need to change, and standing up for what's right, even when it costs us everything, is the only way to live with ourselves in the end. The audience stood and applauded. I saw tears on some faces, determination on others. After the speech, dozens of people came up to thank me. Some were investigators who'd faced similar situations. Some were victims of family fraud who'd been too afraid to report it. Some were just people who needed to hear that choosing justice over comfort was the right path. One woman, elderly and well-dressed, waited until everyone else had left. "My daughter stole my identity," she said quietly. "Just like your sister did to you. I found out 3 months ago, and I've been paralyzed, not knowing what to do. But hearing your story, I realize I do know. I have to report it, for her sake as much as mine. It won't be easy, I told her honestly. I know, but you did it, so I can too. I gave her my card, connected her with resources, and watched her walk away with her shoulders a little straighter. That's when I understood. My pain had purpose. My suffering had meaning. By going through hell and coming out the other side, I'd lit a path for others to follow. 2 years after the trial, I visited Courtney again. She looked healthier, stronger. Prison was still prison, but she'd found ways to cope. Education classes, therapy, work assignments that gave her purpose. I'm writing a book, she told me, about what happened, about the choices I made and the consequences. My therapist thinks it might help other people avoid the same mistakes. That's good, I said. Really good. There's a chapter about you, about how you had the courage I lacked, how you chose integrity when I chose convenience. I hope that's okay. It's okay. I got a letter last week, she continued, from one of the other victims, a woman whose brother stole her identity using the same methods I taught Drake's network. She thanked me for testifying. She said my cooperation helped convict her brother and saved her financial life. Courtney's eyes filled with tears. Someone thanked me, Ari, for something good I did. You're more than your worst choices, I said. You always were. You just had to learn that the hard way. We talked for 2 hours. Really talked, in a way we never had before. When I left, I promised to come back next month, and I kept that promise. My relationship with my parents continued to evolve. They came to my promotion ceremony when I made Assistant Director of Financial Crimes. They attended Jordan's and my commitment ceremony. They showed up for the moments that mattered. And slowly, we built something real. Dad started volunteering with an organization that helped victims of financial fraud. Mom joined a support group for families affected by crime. They were finding their own ways to make meaning from their mistakes. 5 years after the arrest, the FBI director called me into his office. We've been tracking the impact of your case, he said, pulling up statistics on his computer. The organized crime network you helped dismantle? It was connected to 47 other criminal enterprises across 8 states. By taking down the leadership, you triggered a cascade effect. Hundreds of arrests. Thousands of victims helped. Millions of dollars in fraud prevented. He turned the screen toward me. Numbers and graphs showing the ripple effects of that one investigation. Your courage to report your own sister didn't just save your credit or bring one criminal to justice. It dismantled an empire. You changed countless lives, Agent Hayes. I wanted you to know that. I looked at the data, at the lives represented by those numbers, and felt something inside me finally settle. Peace, maybe, or just acceptance that the hardest choice I'd ever made was also the right one. Clara Hayes passed away in her sleep one night, peacefully, in her own bed. She was 73 years old. At her funeral, I stood and spoke about the woman who'd tracked a criminal for 15 years, who'd never given up, who'd finally seen justice done. She taught me that persistence matters, I said to the gathered mourners. That one person, fighting for what's right, can make a difference. That suffering can find purpose, if we're brave enough to transform it into action. I placed a flower on her casket and whispered, "Thank you for everything." Now, 7 years after that dinner where Courtney confessed to stealing my identity, I sit in my office and look at the walls. My credentials, my commendations, photos of my team, my family, Jordan, the thank you letters from victims we've helped. This is my life. Built from the ashes of betrayal, forged in the fire of hard choices. I learned that family loyalty doesn't mean protecting people from justice. It means loving them enough to let them face consequences. It means holding the line between right and wrong, even when that line runs through your own living room. I learned that doing the right thing might cost you everything in the moment, but staying silent costs you yourself forever. I learned that the family you're born into isn't always the family you need. Sometimes you have to break apart to truly heal. Sometimes you have to lose everything to find what actually matters. Most importantly, I learned that standing up, speaking out, and choosing integrity over comfort is never easy, but it's always worth it. My credit score is restored now. The damage Courtney did has been legally undone, but the real restoration happened inside me, in the strength I found, in the purpose I claimed, in the person I became when I stopped letting others define my worth. I am Ariana Hayes, federal banking investigator, daughter, sister, partner, survivor, and I would make the same choice again in a heartbeat. Because some things are worth fighting for: justice, truth, the safety of others, the integrity of your own soul. Even when fighting costs you everything, it's still worth it. Especially then. I want to ask you something. Have you ever faced a situation where doing the right thing meant betraying someone you loved? Where choosing justice meant choosing pain? I'd love to hear your story in the comments. Let's support each other in these impossible decisions. If this story resonated with you, please like this video and subscribe to hear more true stories about courage, justice, and the hard choices that define us. Share this with someone who needs to hear that standing up for what's right, even when it costs everything, is always the path worth taking. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it helps you find the courage to face whatever hard truth you're carrying. Remember, family loyalty means loving people enough to let them face the justice they need to change. And sometimes breaking apart is the only way to truly heal. Be brave, choose integrity, stand firm, and know that you're not alone.